Diane Isaac of Lethbridge, Alberta. You could win a 2009 Nissan Rogue SL if a kickoff is returned for a touchdown in tonight's game, thanks to Safeway's touchdown and win promotion. And if a second kickoff is returned, you could win $1 million. Let's take it to Calgary. Here are Glenn Suter and Chris Cuthbert.
Thank you, David. TSN is the exclusive broadcaster of the Canadian Football League and proud home of the Grey Cup. For the second time in 3 weeks, it's the Tiger Cats and the Stampeders, but today at McMahon, a threat of snow and cool conditions in the foothills. Football weather in southern Alberta. Well, Marcel Belfay's Ticats prevailed 2 weeks ago, but suddenly the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are fast approaching in Hamilton's rear view mirror. So a big game for the Ticats, and John Hufnagel's Stampeders can take sole possession of first in the West with a win by virtue of the Saskatchewan loss last night in BC.
And it seems like the Calgary Stampeders are gaining traction here. They've won 4 of their last 5 and would like to take a run now and try and get some separation and take first place. And they remember 2 weeks ago, it wasn't a good outing for the Stamps.
Nick Seta in a hurry to get things going, and play hadn't been whistled in yet, so we'll re-kick. The Ticats won the toss, deferred, and they'll be going against the wind in this opening quarter. And Nick's trying to hurry things up because he's a kicker, and apparently he's a little colder than the rest of the guys.
Yeah, this was the coin toss, and you know, we've had the discussion many times as to why it's difficult for a kicker to win the Gladiator Award. Well, when you go out with your sweatpants on for the coin toss, it makes it a little more difficult to get the nod. Although, you know, Jamie Borum is you know, making some waves. Prefontaine has, but yikes.
Demetrius Summers on the return of the Seta kickoff, and he's out across the 40 to the 44, 23-yard kick return. Here's Henry Burris, and the starting lineups are brought to you by Nissan, fan and proud sponsor of the CFL.
Well, I'd like to make amends, Henry Burris, for what he did 2 weeks ago. 114 yards passing, just completed 40% of his throws. Joffrey Reynolds, over 100 yards versus Hamilton. There's receiving core. Jermaine Copeland leads the league in receiving touchdowns with 12. And the offensive line, Rob Lazio back for his second straight game at center. That means Tim O'Neill plays guard.
Burris just 114 yards passing. Joffrey Reynolds was the big offensive threat on that day. A penalty marker on the play as Jamal Johnson with the tackle on Reynolds, who had 127 yards on the ground against Hamilton.
And Joffrey Reynolds.
Major foul. Face mask. Hamilton number 28. 15 yards at the end of the play. First down.
So the leading tackler in the league draws the face mask penalty.
No question. Clear cut by Jamal Johnson there, who just grabbed it, and that's the full face mask. There's no question about that one. 82 tackles for Jamal Johnson, but that's a big gain on first down for Calgary.
So it's a first down for the Stamps at the 50. And there is a completion to Jermaine Copeland, the offensive player of the month for September. And Copeland with another first down to the Hamilton 36.
Well, he's on pace for 1,300 yards and more impressively, 18 touchdowns. I was talking to the coaching staff for Calgary before the game today, and they said that when they get down in the red zone, Nick Lewis is just going to turn to the defense and say, they're throwing it to Copeland. That's what they... It's been that automatic down there, and they're approaching it now.
4 receivers wide side. Henry Burris looks that way. And a completion again, and Copeland is cut down by Joaquin Bradley on the corner for this Tiger Cat defense, ranked 3rd in points allowed.
Well, they wanted to try and get Daryl Adams back, but they won't for probably another week. So it'll be Montez Murphy in the interior of that defensive line. Again, Kari Long, 6 sacks, leads the way in the defensive line. There's Jamal Johnson with 82 tackles in the linebacking core, and the secondary has gone about a month now without an interception. Joaquin Bradley at one corner, Bo Smith at the other.
6 more for Copeland, 2nd and 4. And the zone read. Burris bounces off contact, and then the ball batted down. Otis Floyd, the defensive player for the month of September, makes the play from the middle linebacker position.
Well, he just floats to the football and is just going to knock this one down out of the air. as he comes out, starts in the line of scrimmage. Number 35 drops to the left of your screen and then just bats that down about 10 yards away. Now, Henry Burris tried to save an interception.
So 3rd down, and Sandro DeAngelis comes on to attempt a 37-yarder. DeAngelis has missed 3 of his last 8. Misses in each of the last 3 games, which is uncharacteristic for the usually reliable one. He puts that through for the opening points. Calgary leads by 3. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, doing it right since 1939. Zone opening possession field goal for the Calgary Stampeders. And Marquis McDaniel and Arlen Bruce have dropped deep to get their hands on the football for the first time for the Tiger Cats. And this one blasting past McDaniel and out in the end zone. So the Ticats will scrimmage from their own 25-yard line as Quentin Porter leads the Ticat offense onto the field.
Some wondering if Quentin Porter would get the start in this game here this evening against Calgary, but he gets the nod again. DeAndre Cobb in the backfield, approaching 1,000 yards. Receiving core, Arlen Bruce, 6 straight games, and he was the leading receiver until last week when Marquis McDaniel took the title. And there's Simeon Rotier in at left guard again for Peter Dykowski.
Good to see Appreciate Rodriguez back after missing a couple of games. And DeAndre Cobb takes the handoff, and he's brought down by Shannon James, the leading tackler for the Stampeders. And otherwise, Cobb would have got to the edge and had some yards to run.
Calgary Stampeders in their defensive line get Mike Labinjo back in the lineup, and it helps them with the Canadian ratio as well as their run defense. And there's the linebacking core with Malik Jackson, and there's Shannon James also in that linebacking core as well with Tim Johnson. And then in the secondary, Milton Collins will start at safety, but we'll also see Wes Lysak in that spot.
Loss of 2, so 2nd and 12, and there's a completion across the middle, and it's going to be close to a first down for Arlen Bruce up near the 35-yard line. Let's see where they spot the football.
8 games now for Arlen Bruce and the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He had 3 over 100 yards and a couple that were real close, one at 98 and one at 78. So real consistent play from Arlen Bruce, a nice piece to the puzzle for the Ticats.
Of course, the hero 2 weeks ago against Calgary with a pair of touchdowns in the 4th quarter. One from Adam Tafralis on that 3rd and inches gamble. And it is a first down.
Arlen Bruce, the middle receiver in the 3-receiver set, and he just chops his feet, cuts into that open area. Takes advantage of the fact that Dave Stala had gone down the field a little bit deeper and opened up some space for him.
1st and 10. The play action. Porter just threw that into the ground, and we'd like to have that back, and I'd like to have that 3rd down pass to Bruce back, because it was a 2nd and inches that Tafralis threw that touchdown on a free play.
That's okay. We'll regroup, and Quentin Porter right now wants to regroup as well, because he just rushed this throw. Even the short, real high percentage throws you have to step into. You have to use good fundamentals, and that time Quentin Porter just did not set his feet, just one-hopped it.
He and in turn, the Ticats have been slow starters in the opening quarter. Here comes the pressure. They screen it off, and DeAndre Cobb's got some running room across midfield, and still going to the Calgary 30-yard line before he's finally tossed down by the former Cat corner, Dwight Anderson.
Over 6-yard average in 5 of his games. This is going to be a little screen pass out of the backfield of DeAndre Cobb. And I love his high step, and once he gets into the linebacking core and secondary, he now is going to pick up this. Now he cuts through that first hole. Nice block at the point of attack, little high step and to beat a few tacklers, and away it goes. Watch those knees get up there and drive.
136 yards from scrimmage against Calgary, 45 on that play, and now off right tackle for about 3. as Jim Davis makes the stop for the Stamps.
Nice block out there by Simeon Rotier at the point of attack on that screenplay, which is the biggest offensive play of this game so far. Number 65 picks up a nice block in the open field. Good sign for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He's getting more comfortable.
Number 1 pick in 2009, the native of Westlock, Alberta. Second down, and Porter steps up and is dropped short of the first down. And again, Davis involved in the tackle for Calgary.
Looked like Dwayne Carpenter came off the edge there and was the problem for Quentin Porter, and that was the challenge because it rushed him, made him step up. He's got limited playing time over the last 3 or 4 weeks because of the play of Malik Jackson. In fact, it was the scratch last week versus BC.
So the 45-yard play to Cobb gets them into field goal range, and Nick Seta attempting a 34-yarder, and Seta puts it through. So both teams with field goals on their first possessions here at McMahon. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. So the teams trade field goals to start proceedings here on a late Saturday afternoon in Calgary. Demetrius Summers back in the Calgary lineup, made an impact last week in his return with a 75-yard kickoff return against BC in the Calgary win, and he's got a good one going here. And is finally forced out at the Ticat bench, but he's given Calgary something on returns here in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, he really has. That 75-yarder against the Lions really was a game changer for the Calgary Stampeders. He had 3 returns last week for 132 yards, so a real nice average. And once again, good field position for Henry Burris. When you could start right around midfield, it cuts the field in half.
38 for Summers, and the ball at the Stampeder 53-yard line. And it's tossed out to Nick Lewis in his 100th game. He has caught passes in all 100.
I know that may sound like an obvious statement, as Nick Lewis is the 7th player to get that 100 mark. Talk about consecutive games with at least 1 catch. G. Roy Simon in that group. Ben Cahoon still playing.
And Cahoon and Simon also active streaks.
And the leader there, Don Narcisse, was a teammate of mine years ago, and about 16 of those were just to keep the streak alive at the end.
Short gain for Lewis, 2nd and 8. They called the draw, and that didn't fool anybody. Justin Hickman with the tackle, along with Kahari Long, and good defensive stand, forcing a 2 and out.
I made the statement about playing on a half field, and when you're playing on a short field, the offense really only needs 1 or 2 first downs to make it a successful drive. Capitalizing on turnovers is a key offensively, and so is trying to get that field position in the short field. And this time, Hamilton steps up, gets that 2 and out.
Burke Dale's had a punt blocked against Hamilton a couple of weeks ago. Maurice Curry, the returner, and Maurice Curry's got something. Out across the 25 to the 28-yard line, Justin Phillips, the tackle. Head coach of the number 2 ranked New Westminster High-Axe in BC high school football. Farhan Lalji's on the sidelines.
Well, Chris, I'd love to talk about last night's big win, but let's talk about Mike Labinjo instead. He's back after missing 6 games with a broken right leg. Now, he's had a history of injury since coming back to the CFL 3 years ago. He's missed plenty of games, and he says the hardest thing about being hurt is that he's not a rehab guy. Last year, he actually spent a lot of time away from the team in the 4 weeks that he missed. This time around, though, he attacked his rehab very aggressively. He started doing things before even the coaches wanted him to, and he feels he's going to be much better down the stretch. We all know how good this guy was last year during the playoffs.
And in high school, Mike Labinjo is a great high school running back at St. Mike's. There's a completion, and Deandra Cobb, another catch, up around the 35-yard line.
And when when you're rehabbing, it's difficult. It's hard on you when you're rehabbing because you're trying to get back from that injury as quickly as you possibly can. But what's frustrating about it is you're watching your teammates compete game in, game out, practice day in, day out. Makes it very frustrating for you. But Mike Labinjo, it's deceiving about him. He's a big man, but he can move.
2nd and 3.
Look at that.
And great fake by Porter. And Quentin Porter to the secondary fumbles. And Calgary is up with it. So a big gain by Porter, but he puts it on the turf. And Keon Raymond comes up with a loose ball.
Handling the football has been a bit of an issue for Quentin Porter. A great fake at the point of attack as Porter's going to fake it to DeAndre Cobb. And Mike Labinjo tackles Cobb. That's how much he fooled Labinjo. He's got a nice hole, but then when he tried to switch hands and move from one arm here to switch it into his right arm, he lost the 2 points of the football. You got to secure both points. He lost them, and the ball comes bouncing out in a one-hopper.
3rd fumble lost by the Hamilton quarterback, Malik Jackson, with the forced fumble. Raymond has the recovery, and Henry Burris to work it. Almost threw a pick as that ball went through the hands of the corner, Bo Smith.
You know, this is a secondary that has made some big plays. They have an interception each, basically 5 interceptions from the starting 5 in the secondary for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They are playmakers. They're guys that can make this big turnover, the big interception. But it's been a while. It's been about a month since the secondary's come out. It was Bo Smith, Labor Day, the last interception for him.
So 2nd and 10 from the 48-yard line. And there's Brett Ralph with his first catch in 3 weeks. And he's bumped out by Lamont Reed on the corner, but it's a first down for the Stampeders.
You always think of Brett Ralph as being so reliable, and Brett Ralph, I think, is probably in his 5 years in his first real slump, and this catch will help him get out of that slump. And you mentioned his first catch in 3 weeks, Chris. You go back to the Hamilton game, he had a couple of key drops in that game that made he changed the game for Calgary.
Yeah, one was in the end zone. 7 drops for the Stamps in that game, and now Joffrey Reynolds down to the 31-yard line.
Yeah, George Cortez told me today that those 7 drops really took the offense off the field. Henry Burris did not have a good first half, finished with 114 yards passing, and did not have a touchdown. Didn't throw an interception, but a lot of that, again, was the drops that ended drives in a hurry.
18 touchdowns on the year. One of only 2 games this year in which he did not toss a touchdown. The other early in the year in Winnipeg in a loss that he didn't finish the game. 2nd and 6, big pressure, and the ball incomplete as the heat was on. Justin Hickman bearing down on Henry Burris.
Justin Hickman wants to make sure that he makes an impression every single game out. Number 95, because Garrett McIntyre is probably next week. He may have a chance to return to the lineup unblocked.
So that defense off to a good start for Hamilton after being torched by Anthony Calvillo and the Alouettes last week. There's DeAngelis from 37 yards out and off the upright. He hit 2 uprights last week, and Sandro's having his problems. And it remains tied at 3. Wendy's Friday Night Football continues next week on TSN, and it's going to be a good one. The BC Lions travel to Commonwealth to take on Ricky Ray and the Eskimos. Both teams at 6 and 7. Live coverage begins next Friday, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. Lions right back in the race.
Yeah, and watching this game closely, I'm sure. The Calgary Stampeders win. They take sole possession of first.
So the ball at the 25 after the miss. And here's the option toss to Arlen Bruce. And around the corner and cut down by Wes Lysak. And Bruce has a first down, but he's been shaken up by that tackle after an 11-yard run.
Arlen Bruce is going to be just out of your picture here to begin with. The play fake to DeAndre Cobb. Now they isolate Charleston Hughes right at the corner. They isolate him, get the pitch to the outside, but it looks like it's going to be some sort of thigh bruise on this tackle from Wes Lysak. Well, it might be his knee, inside of his right knee as well.
Devastating tackle from Lysak, and Arlen Roos remains down. The key weapon in the Hamilton arsenal.
Really has been over 100 yards versus Calgary 2 weeks ago. Had a couple of touchdowns.
And looks like he's getting up under his own steam, and that looks better than we might have expected.
Been a difference maker. 8 games with Hamilton, 41 catches, 561 yards, and has found the end zone. Look at the 3 games he played in Toronto. It just wasn't happening there.
Got 11, and it's a first down at the 36. And now they swing it out to Reese Curry, the speedster, and he drops the ball. And Calgary up with it. And Eubanks, does he step up? Now knocked out. We've got a little fight behind the scene. Corey Grant involved. But another turnover by the Tiger Cats, and both coaches were stressing ball security.
Well, especially this time of year when you start to it gets a little cold, the ball gets a little wet. You have to make sure you focus on protecting the football. And when you get contact, when you know it's coming, and this time it's Tim Johnson who comes in a hurry. That's the second time now the ball's just been knocked out of the hands of the ball carrier of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who look like they get things going offensively. And that turnover comes back to grab them.
Last one didn't cost them any points. Calgary second in the league behind Saskatchewan in points off turnovers with 129, and they take over at the 29-yard line of Hamilton. And into the game, Summers, wildcat, and that doesn't fool DeMont Bolden as Summers is dropped around the line of scrimmage, and we hadn't seen the wildcat in a long time, and one of the reasons we hadn't seen it in Calgary is because Demetrius Summers had been hurt.
That's right. John Hufnagel telling us that Demetrius Summers really the key if they want to run the wildcat. He's in the backfield, and you have to believe that he is able to possibly throw the ball as well. No intention to on that play.
Early movement, looks like offside Hamilton, and Burris is dropped at the 23-yard line.
Otis Floyd got a real good jump from the outside. He started up lining in the interior of that defensive line, bounced to the outside, and I'm not sure that he wasn't the one who jumped offside.
Offside. Hamilton number 35. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Well, he's trying to disguise. Otis Floyd's going to line up in the linebacking core where he normally does. Watch how he bounces around, bounces to the outside, then tries to time it up. And he's in the neutral zone on the snap of the ball.
So instead of 2nd and 9, 2nd and 4 for the Stampeders. Short drop, and look, it is almost intercepted. Second time Bo Smith's had his hands on the ball. Henry Burris says he had his hands on my receiver, but no flag on the play.
Well, you got to like the way Bo Smith is approaching this game. I mean, he's come up and played very aggressively on that corner. A couple of times now he's made a little bit of contact. I like that the officials have left their flags in the pockets. Let the players decide the outcome, and you're right. Really should have 2 interceptions now, but he's jumping the routes.
Robbie Bryant, the intended receiver, and DeAngelis will try and recalibrate and get back into form. This from 30 yards out from the right hash. And it's more like it. Stamp take the lead on DeAngelis' second field goal of this opening quarter. Well, Farhan mentioned Mike Labinjo back in, and his teammates celebrating his return, including Charleston Hughes.
You know, me and Labinjo played with each other last year, and last year Labinjo was a DN, but, you know, he's a couple double cheeseburgers overweight, so we had to move him inside. But at the same time, he's still fast for a big guy, and he causes a lot of havoc in that middle.
Couple of cheeseburgers.
Trying to say he spends too much time at Wendy's?
Well, I guess he hasn't walked by too many buffet lines. But the bottom line is that he is deceiving because he has become a little bit bigger, moved into the inside of that defensive line, but he is still very quick off the football and has tremendous lateral movement for a big man.
So a 3-point Calgary lead. Hamilton's D's done the job, though, to make sure it's only a 3-point lead. Marquet McDaniel up to the 29-yard line. Mark Kalist in on the tackle.
Yeah, they really have. When you think about the sudden change opportunities Calgary has had, they've also had a big return to give them field position that didn't turn into anything either except a punt by the Stampeders. So now Quentin Porter has to reward his defense with a good drive here in points. And you can tell he's trying to rally the huddle right now because the more time you just started handing it over to the opposition, that defense starts to lose faith. And Arland Bruce back in the lineup. That's a good sign.
Yeah, that's good to see. And this start, nothing compared to the game 2 weeks ago when they making all kinds of mistakes that led to a fumble return for a touchdown. Cobb gets to the edge and turns it up. The end of Cobb, a late hit at the Ticat bench. And was that Dwight Anderson, the former Ticat? And he's in hostile territory right now.
He is.
Oh, it's Malik Jackson.
It didn't look like when we watched that live there was any question that hit came late. There's Cobb going outside around the corner. Steps out of bounds there, relax, and then takes the big hit. And that one.
Unnecessary roughness. Calgary number 49. 15 yards at the end of the play. First down.
Yeah, that's no question. Those are the type when a player you can get the injury situation because a player relaxes. DeAndre Cobb was on the white stripe and really relaxed like the play was over once he was out of bounds, and that was a big hit from Jackson. Good 2 steps outside the stripe.
Good start for Cobb today. That was 18 plus the 15-yard penalty. And the Ticats in business at the Stampeder 48. Quentin Porter looking for Bruce, and Bruce down with the football.
He's taking a beating, but he came up with that one. He had the help of Stala going down the middle. Stala's going to take the post pattern and open up some space for him as they work together again. He's working on the newcomer at halfback and John Eubanks. And he's going outside and right down the seam, wins the jump ball, and he's going to take a hit and go down and hit the ground hard. But survives impact with the ground, therefore a catch.
Saw Buck Pierce battered last night, but kept on performing, and Arland Bruce looks like he's going to write that script today. 28 yards and a first down out of a double tight end formation. Maurice Curry, and Brandon Browner has the interception. One hand puts the knee down. Browner with his 3rd interception, and it's the 3rd turnover of the opening quarter by the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Brandon Browner in that press coverage that he likes to play on the outside. And Quentin Porter has to throw this up and outside to the outside shoulder of his receiver because he's trying to throw it through Browner. Just going to one hand tip it around and come up with the interception. In perfect position, he's got control. In fact, he's grabbing the jersey.
That was a pretty good juggling act here. Yeah, Browner stuck with it. So at the 25, Calgary takes over, and Joffrey Reynolds hasn't been able to get on track against that rabid Ticat defense.
One thing that the Stamps have been able to really lean on has been Joffrey Reynolds. And last 2 games, he's had averages of 9.8 yards per carry against BC, and against Hamilton before that, 8.9 per carry. In fact, some here in Calgary thinking that when you're talking about outstanding player conversations that he should be involved as well.
just past Earl Lunsford. Number 2 all-time now.
Oh, look out.
Oh, that should have been intercepted. And that would have been a quick 6 for Joaquin Bradley. As Henry Burris almost gave it back. End of 1 quarter. Plenty of mistakes in a 6-3 Calgary lead. First quarter stats brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh. Always.
Well, it's the 3rd game in a row, 3rd first quarter in a row that the Calgary Stampeders have struggled in their passing game. The first time in some time that they've struggled running the football. Full credit to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Plus, the sudden change for that Hamilton defense has been big because they've turned the ball over the Ticats, but the defense has held Calgary.
They have to protect the ball. That's obvious, but it's obvious too, I think, that they've turned the page from that thumping they took last week against Montreal.
Well, no question. I mean, they've come back. They're competing. I like the play of their defense so far, but your defense starts to lose faith a little bit, Chris, when you start to continue to turn the ball over and just hand it back to Henry Burris, because sooner or later, Henry Burris is going to get this offense going. There's no question about that.
So 2 fumbles and an interception, and yet it's just a 3-point game, and they're going to get the ball back and almost got the block on Burke Dales again. And there is a no-yards penalty as Curry unable to get outside, but the no yards will be of the 15 variety, and it'll take it to midfield. So great field position for Quentin Porter to perhaps cap one of these good-looking Hamilton drives.
Yeah.
No yards. Calgary number 9. 15-yard penalty. First down.
John Cornish called for no yards.
Well, the offense has looked pretty good for the Hamilton Tiger Cats until the very end of each play, where they seem to be giving it back to Calgary in a little charity. And yes, they have taken some hits that have knocked the ball out of the hands of the ball carrier or the receiver. However, a little more ball security when you're going to get hit will help Hamilton, because their offense looks pretty good other than that.
Came in second best at protecting the football, not giving it away. Here's a little shovel inside, and Cobb is down to the 41 of Calgary. Nearly tripped up near the line of scrimmage, but DeAndre Cobb has another Hamilton first down.
Most people coming in here to this game and this matchup after what happened a couple of weeks ago were basically thinking that the Calgary Stampeders come out of the locker room spitting fire because of what happened in Hamilton, and with a chance to lock up first place. But you gotta love the level of compete from the Hamilton Tiger Cats so far.
14 for Cobb, and now Porter in some trouble, gets it away, and it's complete. And the tackle made by John Eubanks on Dave Stalla, who wanted a face mask penalty.
Charleston Hughes in the backfield causes problems for Quentin Porter here, and I'm surprised he even got that ball out of there. He's coming off the edge, as he's done over the last 2 games, where he's racked up 4 sacks in 2 games. But more importantly than the sack totals is that he has been in the opposition's backfield for 2 straight games.
Numbers are almost mid-season, 11 tackles and 4 sacks. Here's Porter looking underneath, and Arlen Bruce has a catch off his shoe tops for another first down.
It's allowed some tremendous depth for the Calgary Stampeders, and John Huffnagel with the return of Charleston Hughes, who's been big on the run game, which has been a bit of a roller coaster ride for the Stampeders defensively. They've had some good games and then some games where they've given up lots of yardage along the ground, and Hughes really helped in that respect.
Ticats have a first down at the Calgary 27-yard line. Cobb the handoff, trying the right side, and nothing there that time. Dwayne Carpenter in the midst of it. Maybe a yard for DeAndre Cobb.
You mentioned off the top, Precier Rodriguez back in the lineup. He was out temporarily there on that throw to Curry. It was intercepted by Brandon Browner, and I'd like to see the matchup of Precier Rodriguez on Brandon Browner. If you're going to go one-on-one on Browner in that press coverage and try and throw up a jump ball, why not go with Precier Rodriguez at 6'5"?
Had a bruised knee, and he actually was talking about the fact he likes playing. Browner likes the press coverage. 2nd and 9. They look for Rodriguez, and he has the catch down around the 17, and that's close to another Hamilton first down.
Yeah, and the fact that he was saying that during the week, Chris, that Rodriguez was saying, yeah, he has no problem with bump coverage from Browner. This has got to indicate to me that he and Quentin Porter have worked during the week on some option routes. And if they see Brandon Browner off of him like that, you saw Appreciate Rodriguez run that slant route. And I'm sure if Browner comes back up and starts to press coverage or get right up in his face, he's going to run the fade and just try and go around him and straight to the end zone.
Rodriguez close enough to require a measurement. And it's that far away for Marcel Belfait. And Adam Tafralis comes in with the short yardage team for Hamilton.
And Adam Tafralis, with that throw to Arlan Bruce against Calgary, not only the Stampeders on short yardage in a similar situation to this, but not only the Calgary Stampeders, but every team in the league now have got to defend that. They've seen it. They know they could do it. So they've got to defend it now. And that should open up and help them on the regular short yardage type of plays.
And almost a yard, and off the left side, he gets stood up and pushed back by the middle linebacker, Tim Johnson, but there are flags on the play.
Boy, he got high there. Tafralis got real high there. He tried to pick his hold to the left side of the offensive line, but I think it won't
Offside.
matter.
Calgary number 95. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Clay Brooks lined up offside.
That one hand there, real close.
Because it doesn't look like there's
No, there was no
any
movement, so it had to be that hand.
So the drive continues now down to the 13. They empty the backfield, dumped off over the middle, and Marquis McDaniel has the catch. A couple of good grabs by the receiving core here for Quentin Porter on this drive.
Yeah, a couple. You know, Arlan Bruce had a very similar one to McDaniel there. To go down and pull it off. It's part of the reason for it is that it's been tight coverage by the Calgary secondary, and Quentin Porter is just trying to throw it into spots where the defenders can't get there, and it's forcing the receivers for the Hamilton Tigerettes to make big catches.
5 for McDaniel, 2nd and 5. Fake, and Porter on a roll, and he's going to walk it in. Touchdown, Hamilton. Quentin Porter has his 3rd rushing touchdown of the year, and the Tiger Cats have the lead.
And Quentin Porter may be the fastest running quarterback in the Canadian Football League. He has great speed to the outside, and it doesn't take much of a fake to have the defensive end get a step and a half out of position. In this case, it's Tay George. All it takes against a real fast quarterback like Porter is that half step, and Porter's got the corner.
So the Ticats finally secure the football and complete a drive for a touchdown, the first of the game. Extra point is good. It's 10-6. Tabbies. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Molson Canadian. This is our beer. Well, now an 8-play, 55-yard touchdown drive. Quentin Porter runs it in. And the Tiger Cats have the lead just shy of the 5-minute mark here in the second quarter.
Maybe more importantly for Ticat fans, Quentin Porter just rewarded his defense. Will now go out with a good jump in their step.
Here's Dimitri Summers. Another good return. And a big one. Cross midfield. And finally run out at the Hamilton 48-yard line. And Dimitri Summers has really given Calgary a bonus in kick returns the last couple of weeks.
Let's go back to the play fake and how Tay George is influenced right here on the bottom of your screen. He comes down real flat here. If he comes up the field and then inside, he has a chance on Quentin Porter, but because he flattens out his attack on Cobb there on the play fake, now Quentin Porter has the outside, and he's so fast he can outrun that angle from Tay George.
56-yard return by Summers. And now Henry Burris with a fake, a pump, and downfield, and this one intercepted. Jeff Tisdale comes down with the football. Jeff Tisdale has his second interception. And now it's the Calgary Stampeders giving the football away.
Tremendous man-to-man coverage here by Jeff Tisdale on Jermaine Copeland as he maintains that inside position. Copeland knows he's running that in route, so he's trying to get in front of Tisdale. But watch how Tisdale will fight for that inside position and not give it up. So Copeland is then forced to bubble outside, then get a little more depth, and when he does, Tisdale's in perfect position to undercut that. That is man-to-man defense at its best. Do not give up your position if you're DB.
Objectionable conduct penalty against Jeff Pilon, and now a big run ripped off by DeAndre Cobb. As the Calgary defense vulnerable to the run again. That's a 31-yard romp by DeAndre Cobb.
And I think it's Simeon Rotier again who's going to get a big block at the point of attack on Tim Johnson here to open up the hole for DeAndre Cobb. And then look at the move he makes on the safety to pick up another 20 yards.
Boy, Pilon was upset about the 10-yard objectionable conduct. He came back on the field to chirp with the official, and that pass skips incomplete off the turf and into the hands of Marquet McDaniel.
But did you see the angle that Malik Jackson took there, Chris? He stepped up the field. Remember when Tate George on that very same play down on the goal line got in trouble? That time, Malik Jackson helped him out. He stayed wide and he forced a bad throw from Quentin Porter by being patient, not biting on the fake too shallow. Correction by defensive coordinator Chris Jones. I'm sure when they went to the sideline, say, hey, get upfield a little bit more and cut Quentin Porter off.
2nd and 10.
Here they come.
With a problem with the snap, and what a great catch. Somehow, Porter got it away. McDaniel brought it down. It's going to be short of the first down, but they did well to complete that hookup.
Yeah, they did, because Quentin Porter had good recognition. You could see that the pressure was coming, and it was the safety, Wes Lysak, that was coming along with Malik Jackson. The blitz is coming, so they can't block him up. Quentin Porter has got to get that ball out of there, and Malik Jackson's lucky he didn't get a penalty for the hit to the head.
Is he ever? So setup will attempt a 35-yarder on 3rd and 3, and Nick Seta misses. And so they'll have to settle for one. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. Well, Nick Seta missing. He has the lowest field goal percentage in the league now at 71.7. And it's just a 5-point lead. Henry Burris 4 for 10, 34 yards, and an interception on his last throw. And plenty of movement in the trenches that time. And it'll be 1st and 15 Calgary.
Last 2 weeks for Henry Burris in the passing game.
Illegal procedure. Calgary number 64. 5-yard penalty. It remains first down.
Jeff Pilon again flagged, and he's hot under the collar right now.
He's got to let it go. But the last 2 weeks for Burris, he's completed 46% of his passes and averaged 156 yards passing per game.
Only 3 games under 200, and 2 of those in the last 2 starts. Here's Joffrey Reynolds, over 7,000 yards in his career. A first down run to the 45. Now number 2 all-time on the Stamps rushing list, and he's usually the guy they need to help trigger the offense.
Gets a good block up front from Rob Lazio. Second game returning from injury. There's Lazio there. He's going to make a nice block at the point of attack to get, I believe it's on Otis Floyd, and just drive open that whole little cutback lane there for Joffrey Reynolds. 2,500-yard games in his career, 4 against the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
He's had 6 this year, which is a career high for one season. Jolted at the 50 after a gain of 4 as the Stamps try and establish Joffrey Reynolds on the ground.
Good Look at those totals. Joffrey Reynolds now just behind Kelvin Anderson. Look at the numbers. He likely could get that by the end of next year.
In fact, at the current pace for this season, if he could continue that, he will pass Kelvin Anderson in week 11 next season. Second down, pressure, and that ball batted out of the hands of Copeland, who looked like he was going to make one of his patented catches, but Chris Thompson knocked it out of his hands.
Well, this secondary for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, it looks like they're due to make some plays. I mentioned that they are a playmaking type of group. Athletic secondary that started the season with interceptions across the board. Jeff Tisdale finally got them back on track in the interception department in the last series. Another big play by Chris Thompson over the middle.
Thompson, who had 9 interceptions last year. Burke Dales into the wind. And here's Curry. He's not going anywhere. And there's a flag on the play as Rob Cote was downfield in a hurry.
The Tiger Cats have moved the ball real well throughout this football game, and the score could be very different without the turnovers. Talk to Marcel Belfay.
On the return, illegal block. Hamilton number 23, 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's John Williams. But you're right, they have moved the football. That was an impressive touchdown drive.
The last drive, they got the shovel pass going. DeAndre Cobb underneath. Good start to the drive. Got Appreciate Rodriguez involved in the offense. I think one of the keys so far has been that Quentin Porter's been able to recognize what Calgary's doing defensively and attack the soft spots, and then he got outside and ran for a touchdown. He's got a long field in front of him now.
At a season high, 246 yards in the other start against Calgary. And here's Dave Stala. Bounced down by Brandon Browner.
One of the issues for Quentin Porter over the last few weeks has been making sure he secures the football. And it's not because he's fumbling the ball a lot, although he does have one in this game tonight. It's more he's just mishandling it a little bit. It's costing him some valuable time and taking his eyes off the defense. He's been better tonight at it, although he does have one fumble running the ball.
Second and 4. Quick hitter inside, incomplete. Rodriguez thought he was interfered with, and there's that tight coverage provided by Brandon Browner.
You know, Brandon Browner, I'm not going to say he gets away with it a little bit, but because he plays up and so physical, I think the officials look at him and they say, well, he's allowed to protect that area, so he's allowed to make contact out. He gets that little grab quite often. In fact, the interception he had in the end zone did the same thing.
Nick Seta takes off, and now Alajimi Borum, the rugby-style kick, and it bounces past Marcus Howell, and it rolls down around the 33-yard line. That'll be no yards, but just 5 yards, and they'll take the return instead of the penalty. Good play by Marcus Howell, but maybe a better one by Nick Seta.
Well, I think Nick Seta looked to try and run that one.
Man, it closed down on him, so he wisely booted it away.
The way that Jamie Borum is playing and the way that Nick Seta just ran this play, you're guaranteed that kick return teams, punt return teams are going to start to spy 3 or 4 guys to ensure that the punter kicks the ball. You can see how quickly Calgary reacted to Nick Seta when he did start to run.
Turned out to be a 57-yard kick. We saw Justin Medlock this afternoon pull one down and run for a first down. Henry Burris and the offense have been spinning their tires. A pump here, looks deep, and he's got an open man. And he's got a completion, a flag down as Copeland got behind Joaquin Bradley.
Bradley was trying to catch up, and looks like he'll be called for screening. Calgary Stampeders likely just take the play because Copeland did win the fight.
Forward pass interference. Hamilton number 31. That penalty is declined. First down.
There's Copeland right there, the outside receiver. They switch. They put Copeland and Nick Lewis to the same side. Lewis is going to run the out. He was open as well. That's why Bradley looked like he was going to try and jump Nick Lewis. Then he turns and tries to catch up. He gets called for interference.
39-yard play, and now Reynolds crashes down near the 20-yard line. Close to 5 for Joffrey Reynolds.
Ticats playing aggressively in their secondary and jumping a lot of these routes. I'm not surprised that Henry Burr has tried to push the ball deep. Try and get a couple of double moves and get the super slots in behind the coverage.
Reynolds closing in on a 5th consecutive 1,000-yard season. 2nd and 6. And that ball is complete. Copeland took the initial tackle, but Thompson makes sure the second time and brings him down short of the first down at the 18-yard line. Have an injured Ticat. Looks like it's Justin Hickman who's been shaken up.
Boy, Nick Lewis is still looking for his first touchdown, and Nick Lewis is the inside receiver. He's going to flash right here in your screen, and he can't get more open. And at the end of this play, he jumped up and down. There he is right there, wide open at the goal line, and he just can't get the attention of Henry Burris this year when he gets down to that goal line area.
Hard to believe, as prolific a receiver as he is, that he still is without a touchdown. But then again, Copeland has been so automatic in that area.
Yeah, I mean, 12 touchdowns. It was really funny. We were talking before the game, and Lewis in practice was saying he's just going to line up and yell to the defense, it's going to Copeland. So just go over there. But he just can't get a breakdown near the goal line. It's really just sort of the luck of the draw. I was talking to George Cortez about it, and he said, you know, sometimes we actually have plays designed for Nick Lewis down there. The defense gives us a completely different look than we were expecting, and it takes the ball to a different spot on the field, and it happens to have been Jermaine Copeland more times than not.
So a field goal attempt upcoming as big Justin Hickman gets to his feet, the UCLA product, flexing the right knee. You mentioned here at McIntyre close, Darrell Adams close. They actually thought both might be available this week and have decided to give it one more week. And DeAngelis trying to cut into this 5-point Hamilton lead from the 27. And DeAngelis puts it through. So it's 11-9 as they give the 3-minute warning here, first half in Calgary. Well, we've got 2 minutes, 49 seconds left. And then it's Rona at the half, and we'll check in with Dave, Jock, Milt, and Schultze. Where are the Riders? We know those Rider fans are cheering for Hamilton, I would anticipate.
They were in BC last night.
Got stripes anyway. R.K. McDaniel on the return. And he's forced out shy of the 35-yard line. See what Quentin Porter can do with this final 2 minutes plus. He's put up good numbers in this first half.
Yeah, you know, on pace for 300 yards on the game. He's completed 80% of his passes. You know, take away a couple of turnovers. Really, 2 you got to put on Porter. 1, he was stripped running the ball. He took off and scrambled. And 1, he threw the interception trying to throw it through Brandon Browner.
I think the over-under was 1 quarter, wasn't it, on the panel? We'll
yeah, it was.
See what they have to say at the half. Quentin Porter would like to enhance this lead. Stands in, looks deep. Arlen Bruce wide open and overthrown by a stride.
You cannot believe it. Arlen Bruce would have walked in the end zone. He can't believe that the coverage is dropped here. A little jam by John Eubanks, and he thought he was going to have deep help, but I think it was Dwight Anderson who did not get deep. Quentin Porter knows he has a touchdown throw and just misses.
Missed opportunity, and 2nd and 10. Lysak shows safety blitz, backs off, and there's that shovel again to Cobb. Luke Jackson tries to pull him down, tossed him forward.
I think he got it.
And that should be enough for a first down, pending the spot.
Tremendous 2nd and 3rd effort by DeAndre Cobb. And again, the Calgary Stampeders bringing safety Wes Lysak down low. Lysak is going to come down in here, and they've shown the safety blitz a couple of times, the Calgary Stampeders. They're going to blitz him again, and this time I believe it was Lysak that was supposed to cover Cobb if he comes out of the backfield, and he didn't get there because he was blocked up by George Hudson.
So Cobb now with 78 receiving yards, and here is the toss. Is he thinking about throwing that?
I think he was just rearranging
Just trying to get the handle.
Get the handle and make sure they don't turn it over again.
Because there was plenty of pursuit from the Stampeders.
Yeah, and I thought the same thing as he started to shuffle that ball around in his hands, but you can see it started to slip a bit on him, and then he regrouped. And I mentioned protecting both ends of the football. You have to have one of those points close to your body and really underneath your armpit, and the other covered up by your hand.
No gain for Cobb on that play. 2nd and 10. Porter look for Bruce. Off the fingertips and falls incomplete. Shannon James in coverage. And the Ticats will have to kick it away. What a difference it would have made had Bruce been hit.
It's been that kind of game for Hamilton, Chris. You think about it. I mean, the opportunities they've had, a little ifs and buts here, because Marlon Bruce wide open was a touchdown. They've moved the ball very well offensively and come away with very little for it.
Missed field goal, 3 turnovers, and still leading by a pair, but there's a no yards and flags everywhere.
I think Ray Marius is saying that someone from Calgary touched that, because he went right after the football, and he was arguing, I believe, that was touched by a Stampeder. But there could have been someone close inside the 5-yard zone on the first touch.
Hey, Ray's pumped up, a McMaster guy. McMaster.
Interference. Hamilton number 44. 15-yard penalty. First down.
It was a 15-yard penalty nonetheless.
Yeah, for interference, not no yards, yeah.
McMaster with an upset of Western today.
Oh.
Not sure it did hit anybody. But I am sure we won't hear much from Dwayne Ford today.
Yes.
And there's a challenge flag being thrown from Hamilton. They want another look at this.
Well, Dwayne Carpenter was close. I'm not sure if the ball bounced off him or grazed him. But, you know, clearly by the way that Marius reacted, he was going after the ball deliberately because he had felt it was touched by a Stampeder early on. Now, was there a Hamilton Tiger Cat inside the 5-yard zone anyway?
Well, we're going to take a look because maybe that contact with the football was earlier. So let's have a longer look at the play. And did it hit the back of Carpenter downfield? And I think that's where Marius is saying,
yeah, but okay,
still within the 5 yards.
That's right. Yeah. If you hold it right there would be the time, right? There is still a Ticat inside. If that's where the ball was initially touched, and there's Marius right there who's watching this, and now he is outside.
Hamilton is challenging the ruling on the field that the ball was not touched before the receiver got it with someone within 5 yards.
Now, the only benefit even losing the challenge here, they might be able to change it to a 5-yard penalty if they ruled that it did hit Carpenter.
Yeah, you're right. They get that bouncing no yards call instead. Here's another look at it, see if it did touch Carpenter, and I'm not sure that it did. I don't think it did.
Not sure. And I'll take that back too, because if it's in the air hitting Carpenter, it's still 15 yards, isn't it? So either way, it's hard to see Hamilton winning this challenge in any way.
Yeah, that's right. That would have been straight in the air off of Carpenter unless it bounced first and then hit him in his hand. And I don't think it hit him at all.
So
Marcel Belfay, sorry, Chris, was reacting to how clearly Ray Marius thought that he saw what he saw.
barring something unforeseen here, 141 left. Calgary should get really good field position.
And time to try and snap out of this funk.
After review, the ruling on the play stands, 15-yard penalty and first down.
So Ray Marius has a look of disbelief, and I guess when a veteran thinks something happened out there, his coach supports him and threw the challenge flag, but to no avail. And let's see what Burris does with less than 2 minutes to go. And he wants to go deep again. This is up for grabs. Sandy Beveridge has the interception, and it's the Ticats going to get another chance. Third turnover for Calgary here now in this first half.
And a real forced throw by Henry Burris. You know, you can pat the secondary for the Hamilton Ticats on the back all you want, but this is just a forced throw because Sandy Beveridge read this early and he was all the way over to help out. It's going to be a little wheel route as they go down the sideline. Look at Copeland go back out. Now he's on the rail here, and that's the deep one. And as they go down the field, you can see coverage is tremendous down the field right there by Chris Thompson. And here comes the safety to help out all the way from the middle, and Sandy Beveridge. No way in the world that Henry Burris should have let go of that throw.
So the veteran safety has his second interception of the year. And now there's 88 seconds for Hamilton to add to their lead.
They come in bunches. About a month, just over a month since their last one, and all of a sudden two in one half.
Porter rolls and has a completion. There's Dave Stala. We'll have a football camp in Hamilton next week. If you need more details, contact the Tiger Cats.
I really like what the Hamilton Tiger Cats are starting to do, is they are starting to move their practices around a little bit. In fact, on Tuesday, they're going to be practicing in London, Ontario from 2:30 to 4. And I love this idea because after the practice, they're trying to grow their market, of course, but after practice, they're going to go to 12 minor football practices, and some of the players are going to go help out.
Second and short, and Cobb stopped behind the line of scrimmage. And there's Charleston Hughes again. Mike Lapinjo is there as well.
Two buddies having some fun on the clips where Hughes was talking about Lapinjo and his burgers, but both meet at DeAndre Cobb and get there. And that's what I'm talking about with Mike Lapinjo, is how deceptive he really is. I mean, you look at him and you think he can't really move very well, and then all of a sudden he has gone by you.
It's a big stop there to force Seta and the punt team on for Hamilton. Works the clock down. End over end, bouncing inside the 10. And another flag for no yards as Marcus Howell fielded it and brings it to the 15, a 41-yard kick. 49 seconds left in what has been a tough first half for Henry Burris. And John Huffnagel said there's still some warts on this team, and we've seen plenty of them in this first half.
Yeah, this passing game has really struggled the last 3 weeks, and if not for the running of Joffrey Reynolds.
Yards. Hamilton number 20. That penalty is declined. First down.
You know, two wins in the last 3 weeks could have been different for John Huffnagel, and he wants to get his team on a roll here, but he's got to be a little concerned with his passing game right now.
Not going to use it as an excuse, but
Kenyon Rambo.
no Kenyon Rambo.
Yeah.
Ryan Thelwell did so well replacing him, and now they're trying to get R.J. Franklin and Robbie Bryant involved in this offense. And Robbie Bryant without a catch so far in the first half. Joffrey Reynolds again cuts it back, and Hickman there. So Hickman back in after being nicked earlier in the half, and not much for Reynolds.
And I don't think I agree with you that no one wants to give excuses when injuries happen, because every team goes through them. But I think the loss of Kenyon Rambo has really shown you how much Henry Burris last year relied on Kenyon Rambo, especially in second and long situations when he knew he was going to get the one-on-one matchup outside. Burris has got a strong enough arm to work the outside wide receiver positions, and he loved that matchup with Rambo on it, didn't matter who.
Couple of interceptions for Burris, 2nd and 8. Here comes pressure, and Henry takes off and has a first down and a feet-first slide across the 30 with 19 seconds left.
And that's what he does when things start to get a little shaky for him. He starts to run the football. Last week he had 10 carries against the BC Lions. He'll take off, and I believe it settles Henry Burris down. When he starts to run, play action.
Burris dumps it off. Here's Reynolds. And Bo Smith steps up. Stops him at the 40.
A good conversation, Chris, with Dave Dickinson before the game. And he's the coach for Joffrey Reynolds right now, the running back coach. But we're talking about Burris and how he thought that Henry Burris's game and his strength is in the play action. So when they're having success with Reynolds and they're running him successfully in the middle, he thinks Burris is at his best there because now he can move around, run that zone read play that we've talked about many, many times, get out and around. He can have the choice to either throw or run. It breaks down the defense. He thinks that's where this team is at their strength. And you have to agree, and in fact admitted to me in the conversation, said, you know, in the last month or so, we haven't been great throwing from the pocket. We've really struggled throwing from the pocket, but when Burris can get running and use his legs as part of the repertoire, then he really feels more confident.
It is the #1 rushing team in the CFL right now. They've passed Winnipeg in that department. Going to let the clock tick down and take a knee to finish what's been a disappointing first half.
And the Bluebirds are
Yes, they are at McMahon Stadium. They're playing against a fired-up defense. Good first half for Marcel Belfay, if not for 3 turnovers. TSN is the exclusive broadcaster of the Canadian Football League and proud home of the Grey Cup. Interesting day here at McMahon, 11-9 for the visitors. And Farhan Lalji standing by with John Hufnagel.
Coach, statistically, the score could have been a lot more one-sided. How happy are you with the play of your defense for keeping it close?
Well, yeah, they got us some turnovers. We weren't able to take advantage of it, obviously. And then we started turning the ball over. Defense, they got to keep off the field. Offensively, when we're on the field, we got to get some production.
At times, Henry Burris looked a little uncomfortable, like he was maybe forcing things. What did you say to him at halftime?
Well, just settle down, play football like you can play, use your legs.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Yeah, that is very interesting in that we just talked at the end of that half about how Dave Dickinson said the same thing about Henry Burris. He's most comfortable when he starts to use his legs, when he takes off and will run with the football, but even throwing on the run. Clearly, that's been the message from John Hufnagel as head coach. Go ahead and do what you do well. Run around, make things happen with your legs, and let's see if we can break down the defense that way, because it was a good first half for the Ticat defense.
Just 1 rush for 13 yards after 10 carries against BC last week. And the Tiger Cats will have the wind in the 4th quarter. They have won just 3 of their last 32 road games. The worst road team in the league. Trying to pull off a big win here at McMahon. Eubanks on the return, and he's tossed down by Andre Sedesian. Let's check the quarterback numbers through 30 minutes.
Not a great half for Henry Burris. He had 1 long play to Jermaine Copeland, which was the bulk of the 85 yards passing that he had. A good first half for Quentin Porter. 14 of 20. Had the 1 interception he probably shouldn't have thrown down in the end zone to Brandon Browner, but a real good half for Quentin Porter.
So this Ticat defense has now stifled Henry Burris for the most part for 6 quarters. Calgary starts at their own 42. Reynolds not much off the left side that time. Murray Long at the bottom of the pile.
Chris, sorry, when we go on the road and we always talk to the players, of course, walk out before the game. Jamal Johnson was one of the first guys I ran into when I arrived today, and I went, okay, Mr. Johnson, what is the key to victory today? He said, without question, Joffrey Reynolds. And you could see how quickly they react to Joffrey Reynolds.
Stop Reynolds for 1. And 2nd and long. Big block by Reynolds and a catch for R.J. Franklin, his first as a Calgary Stampeder.
You know, and a heads-up smart play by R.J. Franklin to make sure he secured the catch. When you're struggling offensively, as the Calgary Stampeders are, when your quarterback is struggling, don't try and do too much. First down after first down is good enough. He didn't try and get up or try and take off before he had secured the football. Make a good, clean catch, move the chains, get some momentum going.
Up at the 52. Back in the hands of Reynolds up the left side. And he'll cut it back and found a crease. It has a first down lunging into Ticat territory.
When a running back is going well, and Joffrey Reynolds certainly is going well, you have to make sure defensively that you have all the gaps covered. Reynolds just out of your screen. And what I mean by that is at the point of attack, the Hamilton Tiger Cats are pretty good, but if they get a little bit lazy at the backside of the play or overrun it a little too much, the backside players, Joffrey Reynolds, or a good running back, will make you pay for that. And that was that cutback. He came all the way back against the flow.
So Reynolds just short of the first down and 1,000 yards for a 6th consecutive season.
13 for 127 against this same defense 2 weeks ago.
Last week, a season high, 151 against BC.
George Cortez told me, he's seen Joffrey Reynolds for a few years in the CFL, and he told me before the game, he thinks it's his best year ever. He said that I think he's running better now than I've ever seen him. And he wasn't sure about his numbers and whether or not he's on pace for his best year numbers-wise, but
so a chain link away from a first down.
he talked about some of the little things that Joffrey Reynolds is doing well too, like little check downs, meaning that if the blitz doesn't come, that he can go and check down and present a target for Henry Burris. He's done that very well.
Had a great block on the R.J. Franklin catch. And there's Burris pushing behind Rob Lazio for a first down.
You know, which is not surprising when Dave Dickinson is the running backs coach, which he is here in Calgary. As a quarterback, Dave Dickinson was an offensive coordinator. So as a running back coach, you know he's going to be hard on the running backs and their assignments and making sure they understand every aspect of the offense, not just what their job is. So I'm not surprised that Joffrey Reynolds is having a good year and making all those small plays.
Here's Reynolds. He's got a pass. A little bit more. Running over Sandy Beveridge down to the 29-yard line.
What a move on Jamal Johnson as he cuts through the hole, and Joffrey Reynolds right in the backfield there. And watch number 28 as he's going to try and step up and stop him right in the hole. Joffrey Reynolds makes the first guy in the hole miss. 28 right there, one-on-one. Look at this cutback. He'll run right through that arm tackle and then puts his shoulder down on Sandy Beveridge.
Cut back against the leading tackler in the CFL. And now Burris going into the end zone. He looked for Romby Bryant. Great coverage there. Bo Smith's had a good day on the corner for the Ticats.
There you go, Joffrey Reynolds, another 1,000-yard season. 2009. 5 straight 1,000-yard years, and that's what George Cortez was talking about, whether or not he was on pace for that 1,541 year in 2006. He said, I'm not sure about that, but I think this is the best I've seen Joffrey Reynolds run the football.
Well, when the Stamps offense is moving the ball, it's usually the foundation is Joffrey Reynolds. Here's Robbie Bryant, the hit screen not going anywhere.
Now, John Huffnagel mentioned to Henry Burris to use his legs more, and they got Joffrey going so he didn't have to there, but we didn't see Burris on a lot of rollouts or anything like that in that series. So maybe it'll be the next series that they allow Burris and give him that opportunity.
First catch for Bryant, but the drive stalls, and DeAngelis comes on to attempt a 35-yarder to kick Calgary back into the lead.
Again, this defense, though, for the Ticats, bend a little bit, don't break at all.
And Sandro has it. Fourth field goal of the game. And it's 12-11 Stampeders. Monday, TSN 2 brings you exclusive NHL action as the New York Rangers travel across the Hudson to take on Marty Brodeur and the Devils. Live coverage begins Monday night at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on TSN 2. And now you don't want to talk about the Canucks?
No, I don't want to talk about it.
I mean, all through preseason.
No, I don't want to talk about it.
You don't want to? Okay.
I'd rather not talk about it. I think we're in big trouble.
A fair weather guy, to be sure, as Marquis McDaniel brings it across the 30 to the 32-yard line.
There's 80 games left, and I'm worried.
And Arlen Bruce and Brandon Browner get into each other's grill. And some chirping going on, and it continued.
You know, and I have to just come right out and say it, because I disagreed with the panel coming out of the gate here in this game about starting Quentin Porter and whether or not Kevin Glenn is the best option for the Hamilton Tiger Cat. I've really admired the game plan from Marcel Belfait with regards to his quarterbacks from the very beginning of training camp to where they are right now.
Porter's made it look good in this game, and now McDaniel into traffic and still finding a way to get first down yardage across the 45.
You know, Marcel Belfait said from the very beginning that he wants to develop Quentin Porter, have Kahari Jones, the quarterback coach, help them both out with Kevin Glenn as the insurance policy and always able to step in and save the day, basically, if things fall apart for plan A. But he doesn't want to deviate from it and give in to temptation. With a veteran on the sideline, it would be easy to do that. But he said last week, played all three, and none of them really had any production.
Take the toss, a look back in, and almost right into the hands of Brandon Browner.
And it doesn't mean that Quentin Porter has played perfect. And this is the downside, by the way, of when you do this screen where you turn your back to the play on a fake and then just turn and whip it out there. You haven't really seen what kind of coverage you're going to throw into. Brandon Browner jumped it. Now, Quentin Porter is going to have his good plays and his bad plays, as they talked about at halftime, because he is so young. But balancing the sense of urgency to win now and the development of a young quarterback is important, and I think Belfait is doing a good job of it.
2nd and 10, rush was on, he gets it away, and a Reese Curry has the catch. Milton Collins claiming he dropped it, but they're marking it at the Calgary 45.
Yeah, and Curry came back because Quentin Porter brought him back. Collins was playing on the high shoulder. He's playing on the upfield shoulder of Curry, and the throw was to bring Curry back towards the sideline, and he caught it, rolled, and then it looked like it came out late.
Challenge flag's coming out because right at the end of that play, Curry seems to bobble it and put it on the carpet. You saw Milton Collins initially. First replay looked like it was a good catch, but...
Well, it looked like it was a catch because when he first rolled over, it looked like he had possession. And then as he continued to roll, it looked like he just put it down on the turf. But, boy, this is the second week in a row that there's been a...
Calgary is challenging the ruling on the field that the pass was complete. We'll review the play.
And after the challenges last week,
well, that's what
we're not sure what.
Yeah.
We're gonna get.
Well, the Nick Lewis play last week against the BC Lions, I mean,
this looks good here.
He's got possession
roll,
there.
Roll, and then watch.
And
right
then
there.
It comes out.
Whoops.
And when... Now that's contact.
Is the full roll surviving as, and the Romby Bryant, that ball, is it out there?
It didn't look like it came out until he rolled over and was on his knees like that. But again, tough to speculate based on what happened last week.
On both calls,
Yeah.
Nick Lewis
And he was
Robbie Bryant.
And excuse me, Chris, but he was contacted there too by Collins at the same time and was down at the time.
It's a big challenge here too, because the ball is in Calgary territory. Would be a first down after a 20-yard gain by Curry, who has been shuttling in and out with Priche Rodriguez in this Ticat offense in this game.
Upon review, the pass is incomplete. Third down.
Based on what happened last week, that's a little surprising.
I think it's the right call, but then again, we disagreed with the calls last week. And it's hard to get a gauge on what the precedent is. But it's cost them 20 yards and a first down, and the punt team has to come on for Hamilton. Pressure, and Seta just got it away. Did a good job, and Marcus Howlett is 20. Great downfield cover, so well executed by the Ticats. A 45-yard punt into the wind. Back at McMahon, let's check back in with Farhan Lalji.
Thanks, Chris. Joffrey Reynolds' 1,000 yards in 13 games is even more impressive when you consider he had less than 100 after the first 3 games. Now, the coaching staff said it wasn't because Reynolds was playing poorly, but the offensive line wasn't gelled yet, and Reynolds simply wasn't getting the touches. He certainly is now, and what's impressed the coaching staff the most with this guy is just how durable he is. He goes hard from the opening day of training camp right until the Grey Cup. And he doesn't take a day off. He just continues to get better and better as the season goes. What also impresses them is they think he's reading his blocks better than he has at any point during his career.
And when he was off to the slow start, Farhan, in those first 3 games, what was the Stamps record? 1-2.
Yeah, no question. It's the key to this offense because it plays so well to Burr's strength, and that's to run and throw on the run.
Bo Smith has taken a knee after the contact on that last tackle on the catch by Brett Ralph.
Well, Farhan also mentioned the fact that he's picking up those assignments. He's in the right place all the time. And again, it's not a coincidence that Dave Dickinson is his coach. There's the hit.
And a little woozy as he took a circuitous route to the Hamilton bench. And Lamont Reed will check in. At wide side quarter, Joaquin Bradley on the short side, and Joffrey Reynolds flipped the first tackle and did well to get up to the 38 and a first down.
As Matt Dunnigan a couple of weeks ago was talking about the fact that it really feels like in the CFL this year it is the year of the running back, and DeAndre Cobb has had some success, and talked a lot about how Joffrey Reynolds is the key to this offense. Martel Mallett in BC, Fred Reed in Winnipeg.
Everybody seems to have had a very strong season from a running back. Whoa, Nick Lewis offside there, and Henry Burris just throws it away.
And Nick Lewis was about 2 yards offside and 2 snap counts. Of course, Avon Coburn, I want to miss his name in there.
So just about everybody, every team on pace to have a 1,000-yard season. That's never happened before.
Offside. Calgary number 82. That penalty is declined. Second down.
We didn't talk about it last night because it's one of those games where Cates and Mallett were not dominant, but Wally Buono felt that the running backs have never been more dominant since he was a player back in the 70s. So it has been the year of the running back in many ways. 2nd and 10, open man, and a catch made And R.J. Franklin has another first down grab or close to it. Let's see the spot.
Covering on that play was Markeith Knowlton, and I really believe that it's part of the evolution of what's happening defensively when you see those running backs and the success that they're having and all the 1,000-yard running backs we should have. Another good catch by R.J. Franklin. But as the linebackers get smaller, the run game becomes more prominent.
8 would be the most ever 1,000-yard runners in the same season. And Joffrey Reynolds up to midfield has 8 more for his total.
We're also seeing offenses go to that tight end formation a bunch more, and that sets up the run a little bit better, gets some more blocking help up front. And the one thing that the Calgary Stampeders can do with their tight end set is they can bring in Nick Lewis and play him as a tight end because he's so physical at slot back and at receiver. And there's another example of how a smaller linebacker has to go and make a run stop.
2nd and 2. Fake to Reynolds, and another fake. Great play by Henry Burris, and Sandy Beveridge takes him down at the 35, and he was down. Ticats hop on the loose ball, but Burris puts the Ticat defense in a bind and uses his legs, as his coach said.
Yeah, and you could see his confidence when he got out here, because you can continue with this, and good for John Cornish to maintain that relationship with the quarterback, because he can do that all the way down the field. That buys him another 5-6 yards, because now the defenders have to cover 2 guys, Burris under there and Cornish. 2 good running quarterbacks in this game.
1 and 2. 1st and 10. Stamps driving. And Burris to Teo Johnson. First catch, and he is submarined as Joaquin Bradley went low on the big man, the big tight end, 6'5", Teo Johnson.
And that's the other guy. Over here is Teo Johnson, and over on the other side is Nick Lewis. So you have 2 receivers that can come out of the backfield, but that are physical players and can help you run blocking. Calgary Stampeders go with this formation a bunch, and they like to do it down in the goal line area as well. Johnson has good hands. We all know what Nick Lewis can do as a receiver, but both can block.
Much better first down production on this drive, and 2nd and short, and Joffrey Reynolds will take care of that. And the pile gets pushed forward to the 21. Another Calgary first down. So a little traction for the Calgary offense here in the 3rd quarter.
Little traction, little help from R.J. Franklin, who's made a couple of key catches to get a little momentum in first down, and then a lot of Joffrey.
And John Huffnagel did say last week they had the full package, even with 2 newcomers to the lineup, that George Cortez had all his plays, even though Romby Bryant and Franklin were new to the lineup, and he credited the new players for getting up to speed. That pass whipped by the ear of Franklin, and they weren't quite on the same page there. And Franklin has a smile for the missed opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that's because Franklin knows he went too far into the middle. He just, sometimes it's not always running full speed. Sometimes the receiver has to read the defense and then just gear it down. And this time Franklin's coming in here, and he goes too far there where he really should have geared it down right about in there. You can see the difference. It's only about a yard or 2, but he goes a little too far, and that ball thrown into the open area.
No, he missed 9 with an ankle problem, but he's going to be a great addition here in Calgary. Big pressure. Burris shrugged it off, and now takes off. Throwing to the goal line and bounces it short to the intended target, Brett Ralph, but some elusive work by Henry Burris.
Well, and it looked to me like Joffrey Reynolds thought the play was over, and he's going to discuss it with Henry Burris now, because I think that Henry Burris was maybe trying to get it to him. Like, Burris, first of all, escapes, and this saves a big loss for the Calgary Stampeders. Jamal Johnson up the middle in the blitz, untouched, and then Burris tries to throw it, and Joffrey Reynolds had just completely geared it down. He was basically just walking, looking at the score clock, going, what? I thought this one was over.
And so, another drive stalls, and DeAngelis looks for his 5th of the game and makes it. And it's 15-11 for Calgary. For every sack in today's game, Purelator donates the quarterback's weight in food to a local food bank. Purelator, where business is going, no donations so far tonight, despite some pretty good defense.
Yeah, there's been good pressure on the quarterbacks. I think both quarterbacks have felt a little pressure at times, but both defenses still looking for their first sack of the night.
Ticats behind, and that one in the dangerous area, but Arlen Bruce comes up with it. Shannon James very close to the interception for Calgary.
Yeah, he jumped that one. Shannon James, 42 tackles. He's got some stats. He's that smaller, like the Markeith Knowlton of the Calgary Stampeders. A guy that's not talked about much, but a guy that is as consistent as any player on this football team. And he was real close there, and that's just a good play by Arlen Bruce to come back to the ball and fight off the defender.
Fourth catch for Bruce. Just 4 on the play, so 2nd and 6. Pressure. Porter steps up. Takes off. First down. Quentin Porter uses his legs to extend a drive. Brought down by Jim Davis.
You know, and maybe this is one of the reasons, Chris, we don't have a sack yet tonight, because the quarterbacks for both teams are the top 2 running quarterbacks in the game. And this is going to be another example of Porter's speed as he changes gears here. Once he gets around that edge, now he just accelerates to the first down marker. It looked like he got up a little slow, may have banged up his knee a little bit when he went to the turf, but he's back in that huddle.
Remember, he missed a couple of games with the knee problem. First down up at the 37-yard line. And DeAndre Cobb pulled down by the safety. Well, it was Justin Phillips who made the play, and help from Dwayne Carpenter.
Well, Cobb doesn't have much of a chance here in the backfield. It's this zone read play. The ball a little bit up in his shoulder pads, but there's the penetration by Justin Phillips. Getting up the field defensively is going to discourage the run in a big way.
No gain for Cobb, 2nd and 10. 3-man rush. Porter flushed. And drops it off over the middle, complete for Bruce. And it's another first down.
And just in time for Arlen Bruce to brace himself for impact. Because Bruce had to go up and get this one. Porter's going to scramble out, extend the play a little bit with his legs. He steps up in the pocket. Now he's going to put a little bit of a jump ball on it because of Carpenter right in front of him. And you can see that Arlen Bruce gets it in time, just in time to brace for impact. Right now, hang on, here it comes. Yep.
5th catch of the night, just 1 last week against Montreal. And here's the zone read. Porter takes off. Feet first slide, another first down to the Calgary 45-yard line.
That's that play at its best. A couple of times to DeAndre Cobb, and then this time Porter's going to pull the ball. And by the way, folks, the running back in this play does not know if he's going to get the ball or not until it's either in his hands or ripped out of there at that point where Quentin Porter takes it. It's a very last-second decision, and it's made by the quarterback. The running back, as he hits the line, he's going, I may have it, I have it, I have it, I have it. Nope, I don't have it.
That's the Stampeders' bread and butter, and Hamilton's using it effectively right in Calgary's ballpark.
Well, it's most effective with athletic running quarterbacks, obviously.
Close enough for a measurement.
And you need success in the running game so that the defense will react to your running back on the play.
And now an inch or two short, which cues Adam Tafralas and makes you wonder. Free play, 2nd down, and remember what happened 2 weeks ago.
I guarantee you the Calgary Stampeders in their secondary, and Wes Lysek's back there reminding them of 2 weeks ago. Play your coverage first.
And why not? This time just plunge ahead and get the fresh set of downs on the last play of the 3rd quarter. Calgary's taking the lead, but it's anybody's game headed to the 4th. Third quarter stats brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
Well, both teams got their running games going a little bit. Both teams over 100 yards rushing. I still like the way Quentin Porter has played this game, and I have to admit that in the 15 years in the broadcast booth, the play to Joffrey Reynolds is a first, and it's just a classic. He had to hear a whistle or something.
And it's easy to laugh at as long as you win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know Henry Burris was very upset because he had run around and bought himself some time and had a chance to get the ball out there and was just shocked that Reynolds kind of shut it down. But, boy, you're up here long enough, you see almost everything. But you're right, they had a little fun with it on the sideline, but they've got to finish this game out or else it becomes a missed opportunity.
This game's far from won as well. Big pressure, and that ball batted down as 3 Stamps bearing down on Quentin Porter.
One of them being Wes Lysak, the safety, who comes up, and they really loaded up this time, the Calgary Stampeders. They're not hiding anything as they bring them all up on the line of scrimmage. 7-man right across the line, and just beyond the outside of Shannon James is Wes Lysak. Just out of your screen, there he is. That's the 8th rusher, so no way you can block all 8.
So it's 2nd and 10. Calgary had the ball in the third quarter for 9.5 minutes. Win at the back now for Hamilton in the fourth. And somehow Arlen Bruce hangs on. He took quite a jolt from Keon Raymond. And he will be short of the first down.
Short, but Chris, it might be enough to put the field goal team out there. Another blitz from the safety spot. Wes Lysak, it depends. They'll switch it up. Wes Lysak is in the game when Devon Claybrooks is in the game. We'll put Milton Collins in the game when Mike Labinjo's in the game to bounce the Canadian ratio. The Canadian ratio juggling that John Huffnagel has to do.
Seta from 45 with the wind at his back. And Nick Seta's missed again. Couple of misses for Seta. And Marcus Howell will dance around in the end zone at the back line, give up a point, and it's a 3-point Calgary lead early fourth quarter. Introducing the TSN e-store at tsnshop.ca. Now you can own top quality TSN athletic and casual gear, including official CFL on TSN merchandise. Visit tsnshop.ca and order yours today.
Something tells me Joffrey Reynolds is going to be fired up here in this series.
Fake to Reynolds, out to Ralph, and through his hands incomplete. Joaquin Bradley out there on the corner for Hamilton.
Henry Burris has struggled versus the Hamilton Tiger Cats. In game 1, he had just 13 yards passing in the first half. Under 100 yards passing in the first half here tonight. Greg Marshall, defensive coordinator, likes to play a lot of zone. He'll be patient, but this defense, you got to give them a lot of credit tonight because they've had sudden change to deal with and dealt with it quite well.
Bounce back game to be sure. 2nd and 10 over the middle. Nick Lewis trying to get to the first down stick, and they won't allow it. Dropped at the 45 as Jamal Johnson chalks up another tackle, and the punt team has to come on for Calgary.
That's a big tackle. That's a big tackle because it holds Calgary a little short. And we talked about his tackling and his 82 tackles, averaging 7.5 tackles per game, which puts him on pace for 127 on the season. That would be a Hamilton Tiger Cat record. That record was held by Zeke Moreno. In 2007, he had 114. But that was a big one in this game.
Those linebackers. Oh, there's a fumble. Loose ball. Hamilton gets it back. There is a marker for no yards in all likelihood, but that was a problem last week for the Ticats that they don't want to see recurring. And a little jostling as John Cordish comes up from under the pile. They had 2 or 3 kicks mishandled last week when just about everything went wrong against Montreal.
Yeah, they talked about how everyone took their turn a week ago, and Marcel Belfait tried to emphasize to his team that That kind of game has sort of happened to everybody this year.
Calgary number 9. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Cornish the culprit. No yards to call.
Basically telling his team, you know, we want to learn from it. We want to break down the film and see where we went wrong and the mistakes we can correct, but not to put too much emphasis on it, because every team has gone through the wrong end of a blowout this year. Started to snowball on them, and this has been a good bounce-back game. No matter how this game turns out and who wins, the team has the Hamilton Tigers come in and competed.
I know Schulte asked a good question after the loss last week about whether it would really affect the belief system in Hamilton. Does it crush your psyche? But I think we've got the answer tonight. It hasn't been a perfect game by Hamilton, but here they are against the defending Grey Cup champions on their turf in the fourth quarter with a very good chance to win. Down by 3, wind at their back, and the football at their own 49. Porter pumps, spins out of trouble, gets away, and Quentin Porter into Calgary territory to the 52, somehow escaped when Mike Labinjo was diving at his feet.
So far, the Calgary Stampeders have been loading up the box, bringing a lot of players down in close to the line of scrimmage. They do it again here. You see 6 of them right up in the line of scrimmage. 5 are going to come, and they get good penetration. That causes Quentin Porter to spin out of there. Labinjo has a chance. Trips him up, stumbles him a little bit, but Porter picks up good yardage, 8-9 yards.
Well, Quentin Porter is on the sidelines in this short yardage situation, and DeFralis should have the first down, and Porter gets ready to go back to work with instructions from Kari Jones.
A couple times, Chris, he's been trying to stretch out his calf. Maybe he may be having some cramp issues in that calf. 7 carries, 58 yards. Closing in on 10 yards a carry for Quentin Porter.
We hit the 4-minute mark of the fourth quarter. First down. High snap, pressure, and Porter dropped behind the line of scrimmage as Calgary blitzed again. Shannon James off the edge. Charleston Hughes was in the backfield.
And the Hamilton Tiger Cats are going to have to start to look right over the middle on the crosser, right into this area, because you can see once again how the Calgary Stampeders are loading it up on the line of scrimmage, and they're sending everybody. Quentin Porter's going to need a target right over the middle where the linebackers vacate to try and get the ball out of his hands quicker.
4-yard loss, 2nd and 14. Here they come again over the middle, out of the reach of Marquet McDaniel. Closest man to the football was the safety, Milton Collins.
Right idea, Chris, but a little too deep, because you just don't have time up front to get McDaniel that deep. There they are again, all up on the line of scrimmage, 7 of them. This is the area that's vulnerable, but they're trying to go a little bit too deep with the ball, and they can't hook up on that one to McDaniel down the field.
High snap, Pizzetto did a good job to pull it down. That'll bounce over Howell. He's going to let it roll into the end zone.
Here comes Seta.
And a little leap from Howell, and he'll just step out to give up the point. That was interesting, and a 15-13. Under 10 minutes to go here at McMahon. Let's check back in with Farhan.
Chris, Otis Floyd was named the CFL's Defensive Player of the Month for September with 21 tackles. He finished ahead of Jamal Johnson, who had 27 tackles. I asked Floyd, how'd you do it? He said, well, I also had 3 sacks, but many others believe that Floyd does it because when he makes a play, he wants the entire world to know that he made that play. Now, they're 2 very different guys. Floyd loves to talk. Jamal wants his play to do the talking, but when I asked Floyd who he would nominate as the Ticats Defensive Player of the Year, he said without hesitation, Johnson. He says he's the fastest linebacker in the league. And in typical Floyd fashion, he says he reminds me of me when I came into the league.
And the most active linebacker tonight for Markeith Knowlton with 7 tackles. Johnson with 3. Floyd has 1. And this defense has been stout. Otis at the bottom of that pile with another stop.
Well, it also gives Marcel Belfait a huge chance and opportunity here, because they've been playing well in the fourth quarter as well. But this is what reminds you of Hamilton Tiger Cat defense, right? It gives Marcel Belfait a chance to work Quentin Porter, win games on defense, and allow that young quarterback to grow.
2nd and 10, big play for that defense. Looks like Calgary's offside. Cutting down to Copeland, who I think was the culprit. Let's find out. Copeland with the catch at midfield. But is it coming back?
Yeah, he did look like he was a little hesitant when he got off the line of scrimmage, as if he may have jumped offside.
So they'll bring it back, and it will be 2nd and 15.
Offside. Calgary number 80. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
And there he is. Step and a half across the line of scrimmage before the snap.
Here comes the pressure. Burris gets away. No, he doesn't. Brought down on a good defensive play by Kahari Long. So the penalty, then the sack, the first of the game for the Ticats.
Well, it's just relentless effort from Kahari Long, who's going to work up the field on Jeff Pilon. And he's blocked pretty well initially, but after Otis Floyd had a chance at him, Long kept going and tracked him down from behind.
So a big series for the Hamilton defense, and the Ticats should get the ball back in good field position here. Burke-Dale's the kick that hangs up in the wind, and they'll have to cover it with Dales coming downfield, and look at that field position, and a no yards penalty to boot. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, doing it right since 1939. Best starting position of the game for the Ticats. They trail by 2, 8:09 left, and they have a first down at the Calgary 43-yard line after the short punt, 5-yard, no yards penalty. And Marcel Belfait's team looking for its second road win of the year. They have the worst road record in the league at 1-4. But they have played Calgary tough. Eastern teams have played Calgary tough. The Stamps 3-3 against the East. And Cobb 3 to the 40-yard line.
Well, yeah, you're right, Chris. But when you're a team that has struggled for a long time, as the Hamilton Tiger Cats have over the last few years, you have to sort of chip away at it. And so what you want to start to do is win at home. You know, get that home crowd fired up, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats have been able to do that more this year. Then you go and you look at the road game. But you look at their last 3 weeks. Calgary a win, Montreal, okay, that was their bad one. That was the one they put that tape away. And now they're back and competing against Calgary again.
2nd and 7. Here come the blitz, and they get to him. Charleston Hughes punishing Quentin Porter and knocking the Ticats out of field goal range.
You know, Chris Jones has just decided he's going to send the house defensively, and a little surprised the Hamilton Tiger Cats haven't seen this and tried to attack this part of the field. All the receivers here, as this blitz comes, all the receivers here for Quentin Porter are down the field. They were 4 receivers straight down the field on deep routes, and in fact, deep routes that were going to the outside, so he had no chance to get that ball out of there.
Seta looking for the pin, going for the corner, and it'll bounce into the end zone, and a single point makes it a 1-point game.
But that's a mistake. That's a Nick Seta mistake. He wanted that out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. They can keep the advantage, field position advantage, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Get their defense back out there. They get a 2-and-out. They get the ball back with a chance for a major and in good field position again, and that gives it back for the single.
Tried to be too fine with it. Bit off a little bit too much. So the Stamps lead down to 1. Again, working into the wind of the fourth quarter, and a very stout Hamilton defense. Fake to Reynolds, and pressure here. Burris has to throw it away.
This play has been one that's worked real well for Calgary for the last 3 or 4 weeks, where they get their tight end, Teo Johnson, and at times it's been Nick Lewis, but they'll run all the play action, and then they'll get Teo Johnson, just come off here, and this has worked real well for him. A little open spot in the field, but watch how Hamilton reacts quickly and covers down. Johnson comes off the line of scrimmage, and then Sandy Beveridge steps up and takes away that pass, so Burris has to throw it out of bounds.
2nd and 10. Underneath, Reynolds, and he's not going to get very far, up to the 37. And the punt team comes on, a big 2-and-out for the Hamilton defense. The fans again restless here at McMahon.
But again, it just sort of emphasizes how important it is to execute that one punt from Nick Seta. Because if you take what has just transpired over the last 2 or 3 plays, if that ball's out on inside the 10-yard line, Hamilton is getting the ball on Calgary's side of midfield.
Dales. McDaniel, 43. And brought down across the 45-yard line, so decent field position. Tomorrow, the NASCAR chase for the Sprint Cup heats up as TSN brings you live coverage of the Price Chopper 400 beginning at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, live from the Kansas Speedway. So Quentin Porter down by 1. 5.5 left, 4th quarter. Trying to move 4 points back up on Winnipeg, and that ball batted down at the line.
Charleston Hughes got it.
And he just keeps making plays,
well,
doesn't he?
He keeps making plays, and the Calgary Stampeders keep loading up the line of scrimmage. The Hamilton Tiger Cats have not been able to find an answer to this yet. Shannon James on the outside gets some upfield penetration, and Charleston Hughes knocks it down.
Defensive battle last night at BC Place, and we got another one here. 2nd and 10. More time. Porter will step up. Near midfield, lunging for a first down, and he is going to be less than a yard short, it would appear.
Well, this is going to be decision time for Marcel Belfay if he is that close. I mean,
and Marcel's going for a walk out onto the field. He wants a close-up look at this.
Well, it's important because he has to see exactly how far he needs. I mean, if it's well inside of a yard, you want to think that your offense can get it, but you don't want to have a turn of momentum here and not get the first down on a 3rd down gamble, and it's going to be, what, about a good yard.
Because you're right, if Seta executes the punt properly here, they have them pinned against the wind.
And, that's right.
And then you've got that field position advantage.
And I think if you're the Ticats right now, you feel like you've got your you got your foot on them right now. You're starting to, you've got that field position advantage, and you want to keep it. And the punt team's out there.
That's as long as you can keep Henry Burris in check. Took a little off this one. And this one, that hit a Calgary Stampeder. Picked up. Marcus Howell's got it. Flags down, though, and it's going to be of the 15-yard variety for no yards or not. Nick Seta, not a great kick.
Well, he tried to take too much off at that time.
From the bag. No yards. Hamilton number 47. 15-yard penalty.
It is a 15-yarder.
That's Sasha Glavic, the Pickering native. And it hit Shannon James with Glavic in that 5-yard restraining area.
Right off his heel. And Glavic is right next to him. That's the, didn't hit the ground first, hit his heel first.
Valuable 15 yards of real estate. And a short kick by Seta Reynolds. Not much there. They have been stout against the run. Otis Floyd is there again.
Well, it's been another good fourth quarter for Greg Marshall. He does have the win behind him. He has the field position advantage. He's seen his defense turn the ball over a couple of times in that first half.
Like Marcel Belfait, very patient. He said last week there's going to be hiccups, but it's how you bounce back, and the defense has done that tonight. Big second down play here, 2nd and 8. Burris stands in, throws, and it's knocked down. Big play, Jeff Tisdale. He has an interception in this game, and that's his 8th knockdown of the year. Back in the secondary after missing last week with the flu.
And Tisdale had to get a ball call here because he's playing right up on the line of scrimmage on Copeland, and he's got his back to the play. But watch how he must get a ball call. He turns around and knocks that out of the air in flight, and he really lets Copeland go. And to have the confidence to do that as a defensive back, and you have to know that you can get to that football or else you're in big trouble. Secondary has played aggressively, and it's paid off.
Rush, flag down. Good kick by Dales. Another flag. Marquis McDaniel brought down at the 38. So a couple of markers on the play. Quentin Porter has 3:20 left. Calgary with 5 consecutive 2-and-outs. So that's how well the defense has done for the Ticats here in the second half.
And now it's an official passing game slump for the Calgary Stampeders. I think we can make it official at 3 games now.
Nick Lewis, a quiet night.
Holding. Calgary number 46. Holding. Hamilton number 47. We'll replay the down. 3rd down.
Henry Burris had 197 last week in the win versus BC. 114 against the Hamilton Tiger Cats 2 weeks ago. So that's 3 weeks now since his last big game, which was 393 versus Edmonton. You often wonder if that Edmonton series, sorry Chris, will, you know, how much it takes out of the Calgary Stampeders or both teams for that matter.
Well, it's interesting, earlier on when the Stampeders were sputtering a bit, it seemed to be the defense that was the issue. The defense has been good tonight. I think the Ticats are pleased with that trade-off in penalties. They should get better field position, although Dale's with a good boot. But here's Marquis McDaniel trying to get inside. Can't do it. That's just great cover by Charleston Hughes. That's a defensive end. And as it turns out, worse field position for Hamilton. Our game story brought to you by Molson Canadian. This is our beer.
Both running backs having a pretty good evening. And Quentin Porter also using his legs, 67 yards rushing from Quentin Porter. Sam Giannis was a upright away from a perfect night so far.
29 points in the game, 23 off the feet of the kickers. Like offside Hamilton, but I don't see a marker. And the catch made by Stallop. Short gain as John Eubanks closed quickly. They'll mark it at the 40 and give Stallop close to 4.
And I know there's 2:40 left, but for the Hamilton Tiger Cats right now, they've got to be patient. You know, they've got to start to think about that's a good start. Success on first down, get in 2nd and medium, 2nd and 4 or 5. Gives you a chance to run a lot of different types of plays. You can get DeAndre Cobb now involved in the offense again, whether it be a shovel, a running play, maybe a little dump pass.
John Eubanks shaken up.
They've got into trouble in that 2nd and long situation, even though they've had good field position. They've got into trouble when they got in 2nd and longer because Calgary has loaded up the line of scrimmage, sometimes 8 players on the line of scrimmage, and it has just not allowed Quentin Porter any time to get that ball out of there. But this game is there for the taking for either team. What a chance to continue in the growth and development of a young quarterback in Quentin Porter if he can put a drive together here.
Eubanks cramping up, and now he'll have to come out for 3 plays. Milton Collins, it looks like we'll move across to the defensive halfback position. Lysak at safety. And a big 2nd and 6 coming up for Marcel Belfait. If Hamilton does not win, Montreal wins the East after a victory over Toronto earlier. Here they come. Over the middle.
There it is.
First down. As the offensive coordinator in the booth called it, Marquis McDaniel with the catch.
Well, it just, you know, sometimes you've got to see it enough, and then it. This is what you get 2 options here. Quentin Porter's going to have an under option, and then McDaniel on another option. But again, attacking the area where the linebackers are leaving.
4th catch for McDaniel, 2nd in the league in all-purpose yards, behind only Fred Reed. Now Cobb, and DeAndre Cobb, just a couple, maybe 3. And there's Lysak, the safety, who has the tackle. Another 2nd and long.
And with Lysak down on the line of scrimmage too, the middle of the field has got to be open. But it's a matter of, do you have the time to get it deep down the middle, or are you just going to hit those crossing routes?
Cobb in the first half, 47 yards, just 5 on the ground in the second half. Here comes the pressure on a roll. He's got Dave Stella, the catch, drilled back by Collins. What a hit by Milton Collins, and at the 51, he's going to be 2 yards short. 1:49 left. Another decision for Marcel Belfait.
Yeah, it is a decision, because let's take a look at how shorted it is, first of all, and whether or not, and I'm sure he's going to punt, but the decision could be here too, Chris. Do you give Nick Seta the green light to try and pound one through the end zone here and try and tie this game up, or do you try and put it in the corner and put your defense out there again?
Maybe you just turn them loose. If you tie the game, good. If you pin them, even better.
They turn them loose.
Howell from his 4, and so fumble. And it looks like Dwight Anderson gets on it for Calgary to save the game for the Stamps.
Wow.
But 1:34. Ticats have a timeout, and let's see how close Hamilton got to getting on this football.
First of all, good discipline on the punt cover team to not get the no yards. That ball is out
Clearly
and sitting on the turf. Dwight Anderson, you're right, may have just saved the game for the Stamps if they can hang on. Now they are backed up. That's out and a fumble.
Yannick Carter with the strip, and he has been a demon on special teams for the Ticats all season.
Now a real off night for Henry Burris can all go away with a couple of big plays.
Can he kill 1:34? Can he get a first down or 2? Joffrey Reynolds. And Reynolds looking and bounce off. Initial contact and across the 11-yard line. That's a huge gain of 6 to 7 for Joffrey Reynolds.
You cannot just tackle Joffrey Reynolds with 1 player or even 2 at the point of attack. There's 2 or 3 hits right there, and you've got to have gang tackling on Joffrey Reynolds.
Justin Hickman had a chance to bring him down 2 or 3 yards sooner. It's a gain of 7, 2nd and 3. Big play in the ball game. And they're going to throw. Burris, and it's incomplete intended for Brett Ralph. And they will have to punt. Another 2 and out. With 66 seconds left.
I was going to say there was a chance there for a Ticat interception. That's how close they were, in a play that Henry Burris once again is, first of all, really didn't sell the play action to Joffrey Reynolds, and look how close the coverage was by Bradley. He had a chance at that football.
Well, the 1-point lead, 66 seconds to go.
You have to kick this one. Kick it out.
It really is not an option, and you just need Burke Dales to come up with his best punt of the night against the wind.
A big kick, and hope that they miss.
Well, the Ticats playing up tight, and now Reese Curry comes up with it, and look at the field position, although he drilled back, but forward progress should be about the 47. So they're close to field goal range with the wind at their back after a 37-yard punt. See if Quentin Porter can get them close and get Nick Seta in the range to make it. Remember, Seta's missed a couple here tonight.
Yeah, he's been a little off, and I'm sure that Quentin Porter with 57 seconds is thinking he needs probably 10-15 yards to make this a lot more comfortable. So where at least Seta could get the single and knock it out to tie the game at the very least.
Looking for their first win in Calgary in 5 years. Deandre Cobb. And Cobb running east and west and gets brought down by Shannon James. No gain, maybe a loss of 1.
I was going to say, I know what Cobb is thinking. He's a young rookie in there trying to make a play and make 1 or 2 guys miss on the outside, but there's this time in the game when you have to just get positive yards and up the field.
Loss of a yard and a half. Need to get a little closer for Nick Seta.
Load it up. Here they come.
Porter in trouble. Down he goes. Tossed down by Keon Raymond. Halfback blitz out of field goal range with 27 seconds left.
And that is the only thing you cannot do. If you're Quentin Porter, you cannot give up the sack. You could see the line of scrimmage with Keon Raymond at the top of the line, and it's got to get out of your hands. You see the blitz coming, you've got to not take the loss. That's no way that you could take a sack in a situation like that, because Seta could have tried a field goal from that line of scrimmage, the previous line of scrimmage. That takes him out of field goal range.
Even with the gale force wind, 67-yarder not going to be tried here. Instead, 3rd and 25. And he may not see that full blitz this time.
No.
Open man, Dave Stella, down the sidelines and edged out. Looks like he's going to be a yard or 2 short. He had a little room down there. He got 22, but he turns it over on downs, and the Stamps are going to survive. And Dave Stella shaken up.
Just a lack of focus at the wrong time for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who had a golden opportunity in this game. And with the way their defense has played, Stella here needs to cut back right about now. Back into the flow. He thought he could dive to that first down marker.
And it was
Keon Raymond.
Keon Raymond, back-to-back plays. Stella gets attention, and the Calgary Stampeders are just going to take a couple of knees to run it out and survive to take the lead in the CFL West. And a gallant defensive performance by the Ticats is going to be unrewarded tonight at McMahon.
Yeah, and winning is difficult at any time. But I have a feeling the Calgary Stampeders will go into the locker room right now, and they won't feel like this is a win.
That's it. John Huffnagel's team survives it, and they move to 8-5, first in the West, while Quentin Porter, Marcel Belfait reflect on the one that got away as they fall below 500 to 6-7. Montreal wins the regular season in the East after a 15-14 Calgary win. So long from McMahon. SportsCenter is next.